Eli, thanks for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. And he was like, all day you've been giving me notes about how to eat, how to lift up my spoon, how to look in the mirror. And then the one time I jump and fall on my butt, you're like, perfect, done.
In this ever-changing world, the secret to creating an unforgettable marketing campaign lies in our ability to cut through the noise, connect with the right audience, and stay current. On this show, we look behind the curtain to learn how the most successful marketing campaigns were created and hear from thought leaders in the industry. Hi, I'm Brett Marchand, CEO of Plus Company. We're a unique partnership of forward-thinking creative agencies. By harnessing the power of collaboration, we make the choices that drive brands forward. This is Partners in Possibility. Today on the show, I speak with Kristen Kopfel and Ian Kovalik about the viral Quaker Oats pre-graining TikTok campaign in the run-up to Super Bowl 57. Kristen is Vice President and CMO of PepsiCo's Quaker brand. She has decades of experience managing campaigns for several major CPG brands, including Kellogg and Hillshire. Ian is the co-founder and chief creative officer of Mechanism, an award-winning creative agency that has earned recognition for building ad campaigns for large brands and companies, including Peloton, HBO, and Miller Coors. Together, with their respective teams, Kristen and Ian developed a pre-graining concept. So today, we talk about what it takes to get in the game, boost engagement, and make gains, or grains, in a viral Super Bowl campaign. It takes the right plays on and off the field, and the help of Eli Manning doesn't hurt. Well, first of all, good morning. I'm joined today by Kristen Kopfel and Ian Kovalik. So Kristen is the CMO of Quaker North America. Welcome, Kristen, and good morning. And Ian is the founder and chief creative officer at Mechanism. I thought what we would do is just start with a little bit of a description of the actual campaign, because not everyone who listens to this will have seen it. So maybe Kristen, I get you just to tell us a little bit about what the campaign is, and then we'll get into the details of how it came about and how it's working and some of the decisions you had to make. But let's start there.
Sure. I have to preface this by Quaker Oatmeal is an official sponsor of the NFL. And we forged this relationship with the NFL a couple of years ago because our brand and our products are all about, unleashing potential of the day ahead or of any individual, whether it's in a, school setting or sports setting. So we're official sponsor of the NFL, and we had aspirations to bring the brand to the big stage, the NFL big stage, the big game, and, worked with our cross-functional partners such as Mechanism, our comms agency, our media agency to figure out how we could hack Super Bowl. And as the team was trying to solve for how do we hack Super Bowl? How do we enter the surround without paying big dollars for
an ad?
An in-game ad. This idea of pre-graining came about, and the insight behind that is all about Super Bowl. The day of Super Bowl is the highest grain consumption day of the year, but in liquid form.
Yes.
Hops, barley, malt. You get the idea.
I used to work for Molson, I know.
Yeah, there you go. And so we thought, well, wait a minute. We are an iconic 145-year-old brand that stands for whole grain goodness. How do we enter this grain consumption moment? And hence pre-graining for the big game was born. So that's kind of the genesis of the campaign.
And the campaign uses Eli Manning, obviously, who's come to the forefront with his broadcast with his brother on ESPN, which is great. Where and why Eli? Was that a Mechanism decision, or was that a Quaker, or did you guys do that?
I think the team, I would say Mechanism put forward a number of potential NFL greats, athletes that were approachable, authentic, but also had a really great pedigree of success within the NFL. And earlier in the season, we launched paid advertising behind a campaign with Eli Manning called Ode Up. So as we were thinking about the Super Bowl, it was just a natural extension of the relationship that we already had with Eli in our Ode Up campaign.
Yeah, and I think there's something about Eli that just feels so naturally Quaker in a way. Like he's just got the right spirit, the right attitude, the right sense of humor, and he's just so he's just so relatable.
Hi, I'm famous football person Eli Manning. You know all about pre-gaming for the Super Bowl, but what do you know about pre-graining?
Oh, it's Larry.
Pre-graining with Quaker Oats is the only way to kick off Super Bowl 57.
Get in here.
He fits the tone of the brand. Yeah. And Mechanism has, been working with us for years. You guys really understand what Quaker is all about. Approachable, fresh, modern, which, aren't necessarily characteristics that come to mind when you think about a 145-year-old brand, but it is the sweet spot for the brand. And so when we looked at Eli, we thought, oh yeah, this is a really, really great fit between what we want to accomplish and express as a brand and what he brought to the table. And I would tell you, so pleasantly surprised by how natural he is and comfortable he is behind the camera.
We see it in the results. Consumers respond when you're giving them something that they can really enjoy and they can relate to.
And here we go. Okay, get in there. All right, boys, everybody, come get your oats. I want some oats. Yeah, I want some oats too. Yeah. Oh, so good. All right, let's play catch. Touchdown! Yay!
And when we got on set, we would hand an idea to Eli, and he would just run with it. He would just dive in and indulge. And of course, he would say the lines that we wrote him, but then he's a great improv actor. And it was really funny because we had a couple moments where, throughout the day, we would give him these little notes on basic things, like how to lift up the spoon and how to take a bite. And in one of the little pieces, one of the scenarios, he does a box jump and he jumps on this large, oversized canister of Quaker Oats. And as he lands on it, the whole thing collapses and he falls to the ground. No crash pad, no stuntman or anything.
Oh, that wasn't good.
And he walks off set. It was like a one take thing. He walks off set, and I go, Eli, thanks for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. And he was like, all day you've been giving me notes about how to eat, how to lift up my spoon, how to look in the mirror, and then the one time I jump and fall on my butt, you're like, perfect, done.
What's the most important part of building a viral campaign? To make it feel natural on the chosen platform. That means developing the content specifically to fit the trends of the platform. So how did Mechanism and Quaker generate the right kind of engagement while making pre-graining a hit? And what the heck made them choose TikTok? Well, here's how TikTok became the platform of choice. And you picked TikTok as a channel, Kristen. So tell me a little bit about that. What was the thinking behind TikTok?
Well, so, I mentioned before how old the brand is, right? We all grew up and with it and are familiar with it. But one of the things that we were trying to achieve with the campaign is to meet the consumer where they were. And the consumer happened to be on TikTok. And as a platform, TikTok is just, it's one of those positive, fun, entertaining kind of social media spaces that people go just to kind of soak it in, play around and experience something positive. And that made, a really natural connection to what we were trying to accomplish with this campaign.
It's an amazing platform to get people engaged, because they can, experience all this great content, but then they can also make their own content and reply and share it. And so I think that was the other side to this campaign that was a lot of fun to see, that people actually really got into, this idea of pre-graining. And, they would show us how they do it. And which was kind of the whole
It was the whole idea. Yeah.
the whole idea. So it was the perfect platform to do that.
That's right. So if you recorded your own how you pre-grain, then and you tagged it, you could actually win tickets to the next year Super Bowl.
So it was a multi-pronged strategy where we had Eli and what do we do? 8-9 videos that were released in succession. We had a consumer promotion where if they tagged it and showed us how they pre-grain, opportunity to win tickets to the next Super Bowl. So Super Bowl 58. And then we also had a whole group of influencers that we engaged along the way to supplement the content that we created with Eli. So it was really a whole surround program to entertain, engage, and kind of put a spotlight on oatmeal breakfast as a way to kick off the day's celebration.
And actually, TikTok, I mean, because we do a big report on social media through our We Are Social agency every year. And one of the things that's interesting about TikTok is not just how engaging it is. I mean, people spend more time on TikTok than any other social media platform, which is amazing considering it's shorts, right? You would think it would be YouTube or something else. But also, it has huge engagement in the morning. I mean, it's one of the things that people, especially younger Gen Zs, look at first thing. So that kind of makes sense to do it with Quaker Oats.
The other part of the process, that I would say is important is to trust the process, right? So when you go into an environment like TikTok, you have to design for the channel.
Yeah.
Design the creative so that it is something that people who are on the social media platform actually want to consume and are interested in, because you're competing with a lot out there. And so when you're used to, in our shoes, being analytical and having a brief and tracking results and checking the creative against kind of your list of, does it do X, Y, Z?
And knowing the script, right? And knowing every word that's going to be said.
Right. And knowing the script. So going into this, you had to trust that the strategy was right. Trust that the agency knows the brand, and trust that the director is going to get what they need, and then you just let it rip. So, like being open to the magic of unscripted, because, you've got the right partners, you have a tight strategy, is it's easier to do, right? When you have the right partners and you have the right strategy. And then that's really when you get, beautiful moments like the ducky, or my favorite, the crochet football scene. It just, or magic spoon or lucky spoon. Yeah. The lucky spoon take, I think is probably my favorite.
This ain't my lucky spoon. Babe, you see my lucky spoon? Feel it. Where are you, lucky spoon? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Someone hit my lucky spoon, but I found it.
Everything was shot in a TikTok native way, so it was nice because we were going beyond the confines of like a 15-second or 30-second spot. So we had this really great sense of freedom.
And can we talk results though? Because I think the approach that we all took together was incredibly effective. I think at day one, we had something like 18 million views on TikTok. That was the first video, the first day that we dropped the videos. And the campaign, it was a week and a half, 2 weeks leading up to Super Bowl. And we dropped, one video after another kind of leading up to the game. So 18 million on day one, approaching 70 million for the full campaign. And then because we had the full integrated team part of this process, we were working hard on earned media as well. And over 6.5 billion impressions. Now, when I think about what we accomplished versus what I would have spent and delivered in an in-game ad, I'll pick this strategy any day of the week. No?
Yeah, smart. Very smart. And listen, 70 million with one ad would be difficult during the Super Bowl because that's probably close to the numbers in the US, right?
Yeah.
So never mind $6.5 billion impressions. So very smart. We'll be back after the break. When we come back, we'll discuss the importance of good rapport, team building, and collaboration in campaign development. What were the processes between Quaker and Mechanism that made the pre-graining campaign grow from just an idea into a successful campaign? That when we come back. Welcome back to Partners in Possibility. I'm Brett Marchand. Kristen Kropfel from Quaker and Ian Kovalek from Mechanism were just discussing their approach to break the Super Bowl. Part of it was to recruit Eli Manning and to help generate buzz on TikTok. The pre-graining campaign led to over 18 million TikTok impressions on day one. But what about collaboration? How can a writer's room give a fresh take on a classic brand? Well, let's get back to Kristen and Ian. Maybe tell us a little bit about how the process worked. How do you kick this off, Kristen? And then maybe Ian, you could talk about how do you actually operate with teams in-house at the agency to come up with an idea like this?
We had a number of ideas that predated the brief, right? So December, call it timeframe before the Super Bowl. The team on the Quaker side was thinking, what can we do different this year, and how do we crash the Super Bowl in a really big and breakthrough way? And, went off on all of these kind of, thought experiments to say, what if we did this? What if we did that? And what was interesting about it was that we had this gem of an idea from the prior year, or we started to talk about pre-graining for the big game. And I said to the team, why not just take a pre-existing idea that we already started to build some association with, and had some success with the prior year, take that idea and make it bigger. So there's this, I think sometimes within our industry, there's this bias for new and reinventing the wheel. In this case, I think we did absolutely the right thing, which was take something that we had already begun to build and make it even stronger. So I think that was a really important moment in the process.
There's an interesting point that you just made, Kristen, which I think is really important, is that you build equity over time, right? And so often, both on the client side and on the agency side, you want to move on to the next idea and start from scratch and scrap whatever you've done. But there's real value, I think, because when consumers don't have to work so hard to figure out, who is it and what are you talking about, then they can really absorb, what the new idea or the new product or whatever it is. And it's actually easier to be entertaining instead of harder to be entertaining.
Yeah. We spend years working on whether it's a new brand launch or an innovation or a campaign, working on those things behind the scenes before consumers even see them. And so often we're fatigued by ideas that consumers haven't even experienced yet. So it's a real exercise in patience to say, wait, hold on. The market isn't ready to move. We may feel like we're ready to move on to something bigger, but the market isn't. And let's recognize a gem of an idea that we have in front of us and really, really move it forward.
Just in thinking about our partnership and our two teams and the way they interact, it's less about presenting, I think, than it is a conversation. Yes, of course we're presenting, but we have decks and we get ideas together and get our thoughts together, and it's not all on the fly, but the I think the trust that we have has fostered a sense of it is that give and take. It is that bit of a conversation where we're adding to, it's additive. We're adding to ideas to make them better every single meeting. And I think that that's what makes it so great. It gives the, not just the teams, but the process a sense of confidence. And I think when you have that confidence together, you set yourself up for great things. And I think that to me is the essence of a great partnership.
The other piece of it is a really clear strategy on what exactly are we trying to achieve. And that's where, our creative briefing process really kicks in, which, we have an insight, we've got a business opportunity, and then we kind of zero in on what is that one thing that we want to accomplish with consumers. And in our case, it was brand distinction and relevance, right? Making Quaker stand out as something unique and different within the broader breakfast occasion, and certainly within the oatmeal category. And then, bringing that point of distinction through with our connection to NFL, to athleticism, implied efficacy of when you start your day with oatmeal. Because, by the way, oatmeal is on pretty much every high school and professional athlete's training table because it is such a good food and a great way to start the day. So at any rate, that's our way into telling a more distinct and relevant story. And so with a tight strategy, then we're able to turn it over to our cross-functional agency partner team. Mechanism being our lead agency, Fleischman Hillard, part of the team, our comms agency, our internal and external media team, to really kind of surround the project with creativity, thinking, and great ideas.
A clear process, client trust, and thoughtful collaboration is one side of what goes into making a campaign great. But what happens on the creative side? Here are Ian's insights into Mechanism's creative process.
So we got into, a writer's room, and, one of the things that we really value, I think, in the creative process is being together. It's that notion of, you put an idea out there, and with people in a room, you start to, riff and, reciprocate ideas. Somebody will have an idea, somebody else will riff off of it. It's that sort of like communal group process that really, I think, creates the magic. So, now of course we're in a time where not everybody can be in the room. So sometimes some people will be on Zoom, other people will be in the office. So it's always, a little bit of a messy process, but we get it done. And the point is, it's all about having that connection, because I think some of the best creative comes when one person inspires another. When you get into, it's kind of, creativity is a bit of a momentum. And so as we sort of encourage each other to get there, you feel that momentum and you feel things sort of start to take shape. And, we have so many talented people. And I think two of the people I'll point out are Amy and Sandra Kristen, who I think you've definitely met and they've presented to you. And I think that that's also a key to it. It's like, let's create a safe space, but let's make sure that that we're all lining up in the same direction. And eventually we get there.
Everybody has a gut response. And sharing your gut response and tying it back to what the intent of the campaign is, I think is something that
that's good advice.
I would encourage everybody to do. And then, on the agency side, what I think is so wonderful about the rapport that we've built is that there's a really beautiful give and take throughout the entire creative process. Ian leads a team of folks who listen and select the best of our feedback and make it even better versus, putting up a wall and interpreting it in a different way than it's intended. So it really has led to some really fantastic work, not just this campaign, but the prior work on Quaker oatmeal, some of the favorite that I've ever delivered in my career. So
that gut advice is such good advice. I think, I had somebody early in my career who said the same thing to me, which is, you have to react as a consumer first and foremost, and leave your MBA brain outside the room for a little while, so that you can assess the idea, fundamentally for its value as entertaining and et cetera. So it's really good advice. Thank you for your insights on this. Thank you for doing this kind of work, by the way, because I think it's amazing to see a brand like Quaker, which most people would think is more traditional, actually stepping out and taking some risks and doing some innovative stuff. And thank you for the partnership, Kristen and Ian. So
thanks for the great work.
Thank you.
Let's keep it going.
Looking forward to next year.
Excellent. It's going to be a better one, bigger and better.
That was my discussion with Kristen Kropfel of PepsiCo and Ian Kovalik of Mechanism. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Partners in Possibility. I hope you gained valuable insights and maybe a little inspiration for your next collaboration. If you'd like to be an iconic brand we're profiling in any of our podcasts, head on over to pluscompany.com to learn more. We'd love to be your partner in possibility.